The Royals finish off the series in Chicago with a huge win, setting up a massive series against the reeling Detroit Tigers, who just got swept in Sacramento by the A's. Huge series. We'll talk about it all right now live on One Royal Way. We're back at it here on Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Joel Penfield. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, rate, subscribe, and review on all platforms. Hit those notification bells so you know when these episodes go live. We are live right now on YouTube, a little bit early than normal. Frankly, the nice thing about doing a solo show is I can pick and choose when I do, when I'm not relying on other people. And Oklahoma State kicks off their season at 6:30. That is going to be my focus from 6:30 on. And the Royals are off today, so it's a nice benefit there. So I'm not having to come on and worry about a show at halftime or anything like that. So I appreciate y'all being flexible with me. We will be at normal time on Sunday night at 8:30 is still the plan. So we'll still go there normal time. And now that we're into football season, the timing may be a little bit different, but obviously I will let y'all know when that is the case. This show, as always, brought to you by Emprise Bank, member FDIC, our partners in Possible here at Kansas City Sports Network. And on this show, we can't thank them enough for their support. Be sure to check out Kansas City Strength and Conditioning as well if you have a baseball or softball player in the area that needs a place to train as we go to the offseason. Yeah, this is the most important sports news that's going right now. Talking about the Royals just bludgeoning the Chicago White Sox last night, and definitely not the fact that Jerry Jones just traded his best player because he didn't want to give him a contract. I don't know. That's kind of weird. Absolutely insane that news actually dropped. Shout out Zane Flores. Big thing is someone from the same hometown. Yeah, that's awesome. Haas Haney's going to get the start, but they're playing an FCS school, so Flores is going to play. I'm excited to watch them both because neither have actually thrown a collegiate pass. Haney played a little bit for TCU last year, but it was as like a wildcat quarterback and just hand the ball off. They didn't actually let him throw. So we'll see. My dad's there, so he'll give me a little bit of intel from in stadium. But I'm excited. It's going to be a fun year, and I just want to see him make a bowl game and not lose 9 games in a row to end the season. That'd be kind of cool. All right, now to the task at hand here. The Royals finish off that series against the White Sox, winning 12-1. It was an 8-run fifth inning. Basically ended the series right there, right? The White Sox had got an early lead, but it was very short-lived because in that next inning, the Royals scored 8, and then they got 3 in the 6th on a Yastrzemski home run, tacked on 1 late against a position player. But this is why baseball's so funny, because for 16 innings of this series, so well over 2/3 of it almost, it looked like they were dead. Right, like this was done. They got embarrassed on Monday, and then through 7 innings on Tuesday, it was like, is this team going to wake up? Like, where are we at here? And instead, they have a crazy comeback, win that game. We talked about kind of that maybe circle the calendar to remember, significant games if they end up making the playoffs or making a run, like, hey, you can look back to that game as, a significant reason why. The counter is you also look at the game on Monday as a reason why if they end up missing the playoffs by a game or 2. So tonight was kind of big, or Wednesday night was kind of big because they needed to find a way to win this one. Hey, I'm having a good day. Talk a little Royals, watch my alma mater here in a couple hours. It'll be great. But you kind of wondered, okay, what team is going to show up? Are they able to, like I talked about at the end of last night's show, bottle up whatever they had in that 8th and 9th inning and carry it into the next day? And for the first couple innings, it didn't look like it. First time or so through the order against Aaron Savale, they not a lot going. But Salvi gets going, and then that 5th inning, I just want to read it off because it was just so beautiful. And it was with 2 outs as well. It was a lot of the runs came with 2 outs because Salvi leads off the inning with a homer, 296 for his career, opposite way. And ball, it was maybe like that far off the plate, and he served it out to right field. It was pretty awesome. Ties the game at 1. Adam Frazier singles, and then Jonathan India, Michael Massey fly out, and then there's 2 outs. And this is where this team has struggled with 2 outs, runners on. What are they going to be able to do? Kyle Isbell singles, Mike Yastrzemski walks. I don't know why I was looking at Michael Massey while I was looking at the game log. But this was a big spot for Bobby Witt Jr. And we had talked about earlier at the end of the last episode, like, yes, he's awesome. And he's on this stretch of hitting 400 and doing all this stuff. I mean, a big reason why they weren't able to come through in a couple of these spots and why it was still kind of stressful late was, Bobby didn't come through. And I just he didn't look like he was seeing the ball real well. And, he still got this hitting streak. We'll see what he's got. And with 2 strikes, battles and serves the ball to right field against Savale, 2-run single, 16-game hitting streak for him, and you're up 3-1. And then they go to the lefty, and this is where, they go to the lefty against Vinny with 2 on, and he comes up and goes, hits a ball just under the glove of Lenine Sosa, 5-1. Michael walks. Salvi comes up, so the Royals have officially batted around because the 10th guy has come up. And Salvi doubles. Scores Vinny, scores Michael. And then Adam Frazier comes up and doubles. And so it was kind of like they had in that 5th inning then as well against the Tigers, where with 2 outs, it's frenzy hitting, a little bit of power, and just going through the lineup. And they were able to do that. Ironically, and just kind of funny, Jonathan India makes the 1st and 3rd out of the inning. It's always unfortunate when it's the same guy. That was certainly tough. That's going to be a kangaroo court moment, I'd imagine, as those guys are on the plane headed back to Kansas City. But that was obviously big, and it sort of ended the series right there, if you ask me. Like, they didn't have anything left. And it was just a spot where you just wondered if the White Sox were going to run out of gas, and that seems like that's what happened here. The Royals had gotten to their bullpen. Savale, they needed some length out of him, and they didn't get it. They'd already used a lot of their high leverage guys the previous day, so they had to bring in Tyler Gilbert, and he gives us 6 earned in a third of an inning. Because he comes up, and it's lefty-lefty, right? In the 6th, Massey doubles, swinging the bat well last couple of games. Isbell singles, and then Yastrzemski goes lefty-lefty. And that was as shocking to me as anything because Mike Yastrzemski is not in there to hit lefties. But with the score where it was, there was really no reason to platoon him. Like, you don't have to do that. Like, in certain situations, like, yes, it makes sense to platoon him in these, in these games late. 6th inning, 7th inning, they bring in a lefty reliever, sure. But, like, that was his 3rd home run all season against a lefty. And he's hitting $141 against lefties. And he goes out to dead center for it. He's already got 6 homers in Kansas City. And he was not necessarily brought here for his power, and he's certainly had a supply of it since coming over here. I mean, it got so bad for the White Sox. They were so beaten down that they brought in a position player in the 8th inning. They went 2 innings of a position player. Surprisingly, only gave up a run, 4 hits, a walk that was kind of funny. It was like a ball they just kind of flipped up often. But one of those offensive performances that you want to see from this team. You're playing the White Sox, you got to take advantage. They end up going 10-3 against the White Sox in this entire season. This is the final game against them. And a big reason why the Royals were able to make the playoffs last year is they went 12-1 against them. You go 10-3 this year, and it was that awful series in Chicago at the beginning of June, which the team just did not play well in June, and then the disaster of a game that happened on Monday. But you win the series, you're able to kind of put that in the rear view a little bit. At least that's what the team is hoping to do. And if they're able to do that, then they're in a much better place than maybe we realize. 16 hits, 12 runs from a lot of your key contributors. Vinny's got 94 RBIs now. Salvy's got 77. Bobby's got 74. Michael's up over 60 now. This team's clicking a little bit, and we'll see what they have coming into to Detroit. Obviously, it is a much different circumstance playing the Detroit Tigers and the Chicago White Sox. But winning is an infectious thing. Frenzy hitting like that can be infectious. So let's see if they're able to capitalize and keep this rolling a little bit. I mean, and they also got a much needed off day. And I think that's what's interesting about this is that one of the things you could talk about with this is they were tired. And like I understand no one wants to hear that because they're professional athletes, they're gonna pay millions of dollars and all that stuff but it's just human nature. You played like 13 games in 13 days. You go basically 2 weeks without a day off, and you're playing in the middle of the heat in Kansas in July, Kansas and Missouri in July. In August, like that's tough for anybody. So it's not an excuse. It's not indicative of anything. It's just like, yeah, that they look tired. They looked worn out. The bullpen was shot. And it's like, all right, well, let's see what they got. For these last 2 games, they can be able to inch to the finish line here before the off day, and they were able to capitalize at the end of the game on Tuesday and the game on Wednesday, where you just put it on a bad baseball team that they absolutely needed to do. I want to talk a little bit about the starting pitching and some of the bullpen stuff from the last couple of games. We'll do that right after this break.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
What's good, everybody? It is Benny Heiss, KCSN betting analyst, and I just want to let you all know that it's okay. You can take a slow, deep breath. Inhale and breathe out with one word: football. You feeling it? Yeah? Did you take that in? That sweet, sweet scent of grass and pigskin in? I'm ready. I hope you're ready too, because we're going to have an absolutely awesome season once again together. And especially for all of you in the state of Missouri, get your popcorn, get your phones ready, because the wait is almost over. You can taste it. It's coming, people. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming. You say, show me. I say, state. Later this football season, everything that you love about playing on DraftKings Sportsbook, sides, totals, spreads, props, same-game parlays, you name it, DraftKings Sportsbook is going to elevate your already great game day experience here with KCSN. And even if you don't get in by kickoff, no sweat, besides the promos on DraftKings that they offer as well, there's live in-game betting, payouts, faster than Xavier Worthy hauling down a bomb from 15 on the sidelines, all right from the comfort of your phone, wherever, whenever. You'll be betting with a top-rated sportsbook that is safe, secure, and trusted by millions of Americans across the country. Now, here's what you do. Follow your guy. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Be sure to use code KCSN as you get ready for sports betting to launch here in the state of Missouri. You're going to be the first in line for exclusive promos, can't miss offers, much, much more. It's code KCSN. That is KCSN in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements.
Sure to hit that like and subscribe button, everybody. I appreciate those that are hanging out in the chat here a little earlier on a Thursday. I tried coming back for break a little earlier. I forgot we had the new DraftKings. Okay, Chris with a great sidebar question here. What's the equivalent of the Cowboys trading Parsons? Young, cost control. I mean, maybe like Skeens. Like if the Pirates were to trade him like next year, something along that line. like you don't want to say it, but it would probably be like trading Bobby Witt Jr., but Bobby Witt Jr. has already got the extension. So I'm thinking like a guy that's cost control, young, on a bad team that's not going to compete. Like I think Skeens falls into that category. That might be the one right now because you can't do positions, but from a cost control perspective and going to be in line for a huge payday, that would probably be who it was. From an actual trade perspective, I guess it would be they're talking about Arenado to St. Louis in the chat, and that yes, but I actually think it would be more. I think Lindor to the Mets is the more, or Mookie to the Dodgers, like a guy that is still on a rookie deal that has not gotten paid yet, and then gets traded to a team that then gives him the extension. I think that's kind of the more. Like, I think that it kind of falls in that line because Arenado had already gotten the extension from Colorado. So he was already on the big money deal. So there's a couple options there. I mean, that's just a bonkers trade, man. That's crazy. In fact, like he was going to get paid, but I'm absolutely shocked that the Cowboys actually did it, that they actually traded him. They actually met the demand. It's kind of shocking. All right, back to baseball here. Another big story from last night. Obviously, the offense takes a lot of the headlines, scoring 12 runs, 8-run fifth. And Andy Rogers talked about it in her article that, they were obviously excited post-game meeting for the offense, putting up 12 runs, all that. But the biggest applause and the biggest pop from the visiting clubhouse was talking about Ryan Bergert getting his first big league win and his first win as a starting pitcher in his career. The other one he got was as a reliever in San Diego. So this is, obviously it was a significant game for him. He gets through the sixth for the first time as a Royal. 6 hits, scattered 6 hits, 1 run. Now, 1 run was an Andrew Benintendi home run. It was a really good 2-strike pitch, slider down at the back foot, and Benintendi caught it out front, basically off his shoe tops and hit a home run. That's a situation where you just tip your cap and move on. I thought Berger made a good pitch there, and it's just a little bit unlucky. Didn't really have the swing and miss going. Only 3 strikeouts. He still had 2 walks, but I thought he pitched really well. Did a good job limiting damage, limiting hard contact. Didn't let innings get away from him with a couple runners on. He has and this is a quality that you can't really quantify, but has this unflappability that may not even be a word, but I think you guys know where I'm going with this. The ability to just, Men in Black memory erase batter, whatever happened to the previous batter and just go attack the next guy. And maybe that is something you can quantify. Maybe that is just the direct result of, these are the way that the Royals have kind of hardwired these pitchers in their development. But he kind of has that same thing that Noah Cameron does. And that gives you a pretty high floor. And I think Cameron's floor is pretty high. I think Bergert's floor is pretty high. I don't think Bergert has the ceiling of a Cole Reagans, ace level, Cy Young type guy. But I think as a floor, it's a 3, right? And maybe a ceiling, he's a 2. A guy you give game 2 of a playoff series. That's kind of how I view it. But over in a rotation, I feel pretty good about him slotting in 3rd, 4th for the Royals moving forward. Just the stuff is playing really well. They seem to have really found something with the percentages with him, throwing his fastball a little bit less, which has then allowed the sweeper, slider, and changeup to level up a little bit, giving him a fastball that already plays well metrically, and these 4 pitches. I think it's pretty significant. And another move that JJ Piccolo and company made identifying a young guy. We talked about that last week. We're getting close to a point where teams are probably going to stop wanting to trade with the Royals for young cost control pitching because what they've done with Cole Reagans, what they've done with Lucas Erceg, and what they're doing with Ryan Bergert now. You're not going to see them be able to maybe get one over on a team for a guy that they identify I mean, it's not like it's necessarily like don't trade with the Rays level, but you point one at least on the pitching side, and we'll see what they're able to do moving forward. But I do think that was a significant part of this. I do want to shout out a couple of relievers because kind of lost in the game on Tuesday was Chris. I'm going to get to that here in a little bit. Talking about that series, I had one more point I wanted to get to here. One of the big reasons why the Royals were able to win that game on Tuesday was because the bullpen held it down in a way that we weren't sure. People have their opinions about the bullpen and its usage and all that stuff. And obviously, Ursig and Estevez get a lot of the headlines because they've been the two most reliable guys. They're both very solid. But John Schreiber has been really good for well over a month now. Ian Kraft, who works in PR for the Royals, has a lot of the stats stuff for the team. In his last 10 games, he's given up one hit, and that's in 8 2/3 innings. And it was one of those ground ball inherited runners. So he's done a really good job of limiting contact, being a little more strikeout oriented this year, which has helped him level up a little bit. Last season, what was concerning was like the velo wasn't quite there. He wasn't healthy in spots, and he was just a walking ground ball. And like, that's fine. Being a sidearm sinker guy, you're going to get ground balls. But when you don't have any sort of swing and miss to go with it, like at all, it's a lot more concerning. There's a lot more swing and miss with him this year. Some of it is an elevated velocity that adds to that. I think that is a significant reason why John Schreiber's been better. And I'm not saying hand him the ball in the 8th inning with the game on the line. Like, it's not that. But when he comes in the game, it's not, oh boy, here we go. It's, all right, he's going to get a strikeout, a ground ball, get out of the inning. And that's what he's been for most of this year. Maybe the biggest surprise of the season for me is Taylor Clark out of this bullpen for this team. Another one from Ian Kraft. He's got a 3.14 ERA in 43 innings. He's got 35 strikeouts to 5 walks this season. I want to make sure that's the exact numbers. I think that's what it was. But like, we all kind of had our answers when he pitched for this team a couple of years ago. Like, I don't know if this is actually worth anything. Like, he was worth 0.6 WAR in 22, and then he had an ERA near 6 in 58 games in 23 when they lost 106 games. Just like, well, I just don't. And the walk rate was so much higher. He was getting hit around. And this year, he's already worth more WAR than he was the entirety of 2022 in 9 less games. And I don't think any of us came into the year thinking, yes, Taylor Clark is going to throw significant innings for this bullpen. But they've clearly found something with him and has made a massive difference. I know they tweaked his slider a little bit coming into when he was in Omaha before he got called up. And it's made a huge difference for him. This is the biggest thing. He's had a couple outings where he got knocked around. Happens to every reliever. He's allowed 1 run or less in 35 of 38 games that he has pitched this season. Meaning, if he gives up a run, he doesn't get blown up. Like, it's not, all right, if he lets a couple on, he's letting 4 on. Like, he may give up a run, but it's not going to last long. He's going to get out of the inning, or he's going to throw a shutout inning like he did the other night in the 7th inning. It's 4-0. They're trying to keep it in the same spot. I mean, he's earned kind of that circle of trust. And I don't know who the other 2 pitchers are. It wasn't listed in the tweet list. Another one from Ian Kraft. 3 pitchers in the major leagues this season with at least 40 innings and 5 or less walks. He's one of them. I mean, who would have seen that coming into the year? And he has made a massive difference in the bullpen, shoring some of that stuff up. And I'm with Nate, like, trust the bullpen and staff to get great innings out of these guys. Like, yeah. And I know that we all have our, maybe people have their inherent like confirmation biases or preconceived notion bias of certain guys. When they walk out of the bullpen, they already, want to believe what's about to happen. But like, Angel Zerpa is, when asked to be an average reliever, is that. Lucas Ursig, while maybe not the same guy, still very effective. Carlos Estevez, people make a huge deal about the blown save stuff. 4 of them are in extra innings when there's a runner placed on second. Like, he in non-extra inning games, he's blown 2 all year. And if you tell me that it's late August and a reliever has only blown 2 games in the 9th, you feel pretty good about that situation in a safe spot. He's got 30, he got 35 saves this year. It's a career high. He's going to get near 40. And for what the Royals ask of him and what they paid him to be, significant. Getting great production out of scrap heap like Schreiber, Long, and Clark. Clark and Long specifically, and like Long sneaky has actually been decent for the last few weeks. He was just so bad at the beginning of the year, and I don't know if he was just hurt coming into the year, and that played a part. But like I'm gonna pull up the numbers, but like he's actually been like decent, like closer to what he was last season. When we talk about like the high leverage Sam Long stuff, and a lot of his career has been bad, good, bad, good, bad. But when you think about what his ERA was when he came back to what it is now, it's significant. He gave up 3 runs in that game in Texas, but that was all, though none of them were earned. It was all in the error. Other than that, I think he gave up a home run in Detroit. But I think that's it for a while with him. I'm going to pull up the actual numbers and give you a sample here. So prior to those two, been 0-0. He gave up 2 in a game that the game was basically done. But a lot of zeros since like late June. Not saying that they need to give him the ball and cut in some of these high leverage innings, though. To be fair, you get a couple runs, and it's 4-2. They give the ball to Sam Long in the 8th inning on Tuesday. Gives up a hit, but no damage done. They're going to figure it out. Like they do actually, I think, a very good job managing the bullpen, contrary to what people on the internet say. I actually think they do a pretty darn good job. Before we get out of here, toast game to Ryan Bergert. First win as a starter in the offense for that 5th inning. Obviously, that was what turned the tide, kind of shook the White Sox, and it was just like, okay, like it's just not happening for us. Like we had that great game the other day, but not much else going for it. Before we get out of here, big series against the Chicago White Sox, or against not the Chicago White Sox, the Detroit Tigers, coming up this weekend at Kauffman Stadium. You got a 9-game homestand. You got 3 against the Tigers. You got 3 against the Angels, and then 3 against the Twins. Ideally, I think you need to be 6-3. I mean, because anything less, and you got to think about the ground that you have to make up, and it's going to get trickier and trickier. And time is coming out of the hourglass. I'm not expecting a series win against Detroit, though that would go a long way. I'm really banking on them being able to do a lot of their damage against the Angels and against the Twins, and we'll see what they have from there. Pitching matchups here Friday night is going to be Seth Lugo against Chris Paddock, which I think Paddock pitched on Saturday, so Lugo gets it. Any official yet? That's Noah Cameron's spot, but they have not announced a starter yet, so I don't know if that's just kind of waiting to see if maybe Noah Cameron needs to skip a start, whatever, as he's built up his innings in the big leagues. I'm sure he's thrown more innings in the big leagues this year than they ever thought they were going to. And then on Sunday, it's going to be Waka against Tarek Skubal on Sunday. And Skubal's awesome and is a great, great pitcher and is well on his way to another Cy Young. The Royals just they play well against him. I don't know if it's just competition a little bit that that allows some of these guys to do it, and we'll see. But that is going to be a really interesting game, because when you think about the impact that Mike Yastrzemski has made, and he's not going to be in the lineup against Skubal. Adam Frazier, he's probably not going to be in the lineup against Skubal either with the lefty. The only lefty you may see is Vinny and maybe Frazier, but I'm not even counting on that. So that's going to be a really interesting platoon deployment from Quatrero on Sunday. how do you handle that? And, how quickly can you get Skubal out so you can bring in Yastrzemski and Frazier and maybe a Massey or an Isbell or however they want to handle it. But it is going to be very right-handed heavy lineups. So that is going to be really interesting to watch how that's going to play out. I'm really curious if they end up starting on Saturday. I think it's going to end up being Noah Cameron, but we'll see. They would have mentioned if there was some sort of injury or some sort of concern. But I wonder if this is just an opportunity for them to kind of monitor his innings a little bit, because he's manned the post every fifth day since mid-May. So I think that's more in line with that than anything else. I think that's going to do it for the show tonight. I do appreciate everybody that came through, hung out further than normal. We will talk on Sunday night, and certainly we'll go from there. Sunday 8:30. Hopefully we're talking about a series win, or at least a competitive series, and we'll see where the Royals are on the wild card after that. Chris, thank you as always for hanging out. Nate as well in the chat. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk on Sunday night. Take care, everybody.